Hi, I'm James, and this is the second video in a series of 3 videos on creating games in VR with Unity. In this video, Deed and I are going to build a game together from scratch in Unity. If you were about to teach me how to make a game in Unity right now, what kind of things would you need to explain to me? Because I see a lot.
There's a lot, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I think like this is how I would explain it. I would delete all this crap. This stuff's gone. It's intimidating. It's stupid. Um, this is really the most important and really useful thing. It's this right here.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks a little confusing. What is this? This is the main camera, and it is moved based on where the head moves. So obviously, as soon as I launch into the game, it sort of attaches this camera to wherever the position of the headset is.
Got it.
And that's how Unity would recognize that. But these things called the left controller, the right controller, they're really awesome. I mean, obviously most, if not all, VR headsets have, except for the Apple Vision, they have a controller with them. And there's so much you can do with this. You can interact with things, and one really neat thing is if you wanted to tag it with a certain name tag, and then in your C# in your script, you could then there's a lot you can do. But what's some games you played when you were younger?
Have you ever played Lemmings?
Oh, Lemmings. I have not.
You never played Lemmings?
What is Lemmings about?
Oh, Lemmings is this incredible game. Well, basically, so the lemmings, they move on their own. You don't control them, but you can put obstacles in their ways, or you can dig holes.
Okay.
At the end of the game, either all the lemmings are going to get to a safe place, or they're all going to die.
Oh, so you have to make sure they stay alive.
They're walking, and then when they hit something, they turn around.
Oh, okay.
Or they'll go into a fire or whatever, or they'll fall off of something. You're around there digging, building things to get them to go in the right place.
That's really neat. I like that concept a lot. Well, we'll take this as an example, as inspiration. So this is your vision.
Right.
You want to load into VR, and there's a Lemmings character, or just a character that walks around, and will randomly kind of walk around. Maybe they'll follow you.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a mind of its own. It doesn't just feel like some random character.
Yeah.
And obviously I already have Unity downloaded. I would assume you probably don't have it downloaded, but I'll walk you through sort of what the process would be for quickly implementing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of seeing it, how you have this vision 15 minutes ago, and then it's boom, it's in here. So I'll I'll launch Blender. And Blender is the amazing 3D software that's free that essentially almost not every game developer uses, but they use it to basically create and render models, characters, pretty much anything. You can literally make anything with Blender. And it's a little confusing. I feel like this honestly should be a couple different parts, but we'll just look at this okay, he has kind of a weird face or something. That's okay, that's valid. We'll make a very low poly version of this creature.
Cool.
We'll try our best to make it not look too odd. So we'll give him some feet, but the goal behind this is to put this character into I'm gonna just make it horrible. Put this character into our VR scene, so we can essentially interact with it. What are some other things you can do with the lemmings?
You can do very little. You're just building the world.
So you're just building the world.
Yeah.
Is it different level worlds, or is one world the entire time?
Yeah, they're different levels. So once they get to the end, then they're all safe, and then you go on to the next world.
Okay. So we're just kind of sketching very...
That's pretty good.
Very, very not the most insane, but it's a character nonetheless. And yeah, so let's just say we'll just whip up this character real quick. Should I add some hair?
Definitely.
Of course. It's what is that? I don't even know what that hairstyle is, but I feel like I had something like that when I was younger. We'll just kind of like try and recreate that. Not the greatest at Blender, but I'm definitely I know my way around the program, but not like
Yeah, for sure.
not the greatest. So it's something kind of like that, I guess. And the goal though is to make this character kind of feel alive,
Hmm.
because it doesn't have like really any like feelings. It's just literally a simple 3D model right now. And yeah, we'll just do that for right now. We'll add a texture by going into like the shader tab. Where is it? UV texture. Let's create something new. Actually, I'll take some. Let me put this image onto here. It's gonna look a little weird when I do this, but it's like, what's going on here? So I'm like gonna fix up the UV render. It's kind of all over the place right now. But this is just what I would do if I need to put like a quick character in.
Uh-huh.
But Blender, honestly, like for now, I would expect you, like if there was characters that I could download, I would.
Right.
But to like for time's sake, but we'll put like this texture over here.
No, this is super cool to see how to make objects and shapes from scratch.
Yeah, it's definitely not like gonna look pretty, but um, it's already looking a little interesting. So we're gonna like make the eyes a little bigger, I guess. This looks a little derpy. And the idea here, though, is that it'll look something like a lemming. It won't look exactly like it, but something like it. And yeah, Blender's a fun program. I think the reason that I even like started using Blender was because did you ever play Fortnite at all?
No, I didn't.
So Fortnite during the time, there's tons of videos being made about it, and I didn't really watch a lot of them, but what I did watch was like how YouTubers would like make their thumbnails and stuff, because I was like at the time making my own thumbnails, and I really wanted to figure out like how do they get views, because I wanted views. So I started making my own like thumbnails, and I realized I needed to use Blender to actually learn how to like 3D sort of animate and model the characters in Blender. And
Cool.
this just looks horrible. This is fine though.
No,
It's
that
fine.
that looks pretty much the same to me.
I would make thumbnails for YouTubers, and it helped me make some money in middle school, and that's why I got into Blender. So this is just a very bad lemming, very off-brand. We'll go ahead and export it. I think the cubes for some reason kind of like are inverted. There's a way to fix that, but it's been a little while since I've ran into that issue. Modifier. Anyway, we're gonna put this in Unity. Enough talking. Let's actually do something here. Lemming. It's gonna be my beautiful lemming model, and so
Is there a certain file format that you need to use when you're going from Blender to Unity?
that is a great question. So there's two main file formats that I use. I'm either going to use FBX or I'm going to use OBJ. That's really the best way to do it, in my opinion. As if I go to File and I go to Export, there's like a ton of other ones. For example, there's STL, but that's kind of like for 3D printing.
Right.
There's also like Grease Pencil, which is more for like animations and 2D stuff. So it wouldn't even like really export your model. It would like just be like a drawn image. And there's Day. Day also works, but I don't really use it that often.
Okay.
Now, in theory, though, we have our Unity project. Let's just create a new folder, because this is like the folder where the game that me and him created is the folder for that. So it looks a little less intimidating. We're going to drag our lemming onto here. And when I drag it in, you realize, wait, there's no texture. What's going on here? The funny thing you have to do is with Unity, you have to drag in the texture as well. And then it's like, oh, I know what's going on here. So this is our off-brand lemming we got. And we can delete the image. So now we're just left with this off-brand. I don't know. We'll deal with them for now. And the cool thing in Unity is that you can add a component to basically everything. This right here is like the hierarchy, where we have our XR origin. It's not going to be a VR game without like some kind of, I guess, add-on or some kind of like XR add-on for the project.
Mm-hmm.
So, funny thing is, Meta uh, literally has this thing called. I mean, of course they have it, but there's interaction SDKs. There's tons of like things you can download from the asset store. But if you even just type in the words XR, it's like 100 things come up from Meta. Before a lot of these like SDKs were out or simulators or whatever, it was kind of difficult and confusing because like Oculus didn't really have like a ton like of widely available like things you could just download and have a working VR game. And I mean, we may do, but you would essentially download like the XR Core SDK, which is a pretty good one. There's also OpenXR. I think it's on here.
So for a complete beginner, I mean,
Mhm.
where would someone start? Where would you start?
I would start. I would just go into the Unity Asset Store with a fresh 3D file, and I would add the XR Core SDK.
Okay.
And then once I drag and drop the like XR origin, which is going to be because it would just put it in the project,
Uh-huh.
and you're given like all these like XR things, XR like all these settings. Like don't worry about it for now. The main thing that's important is importing like the camera with the controllers,
Got it.
and once you have that, you can then kind of like create whatever world you can imagine. If we look at like Lemming, like what does the background like look like here? It's like this game is 2D. I want to try and make it 3D. So it's like a forest, something along those lines.
Right.
In the Unity Asset Store for time, if I already have some of it downloaded, but there's like a fantasy skybox that kind of reminds me a lot of like the Lemmings game in the sense that it's like a forest. Like that looks pretty cool. I don't know if that's from Lemming, but it's a character or something.
Uh-huh.
But black background, we'll make it look a little more special. So there's like skyboxes you can just download. This is the one that I think we used, and it looks like really nice. So we'll just go into the lighting tab, Windows, General. Well, I already have it open, but rendering and lighting. And then once we add the like fantasy skybox, then we just drag the cube map onto it. And now when we launch in, we're going to be greeted by this beautiful 3D creation that we did. And it's a bit tall, as you can see. It's a little
Oh,
scary.
that is
But
terrifying.
yeah, so what we'll do is we'll scale it down. In the inspector tab, we'll get 2/10 of the size. So it's kind of about our height almost.
Uh-huh.
And moment. So now we have this beautiful creature, but it doesn't do anything. You like launch in and nothing happens.
Could we already sort of build and ship this, and you'd have like a static environment?
Yeah. We
Okay.
could, so there's two things when it comes to testing your game. You can either, which is what I've been doing, is just hitting play
Yeah.
and launch the Oculus like Rift world in your headset. Or what you could do is you could hit File and go to Build Settings.
Got it.
I already switched it to Android, but Android's like basically what Meta is built on, the headset. So you'd switch the build platform and then you'd hit Build and Run or just Build.
Yeah.
So if I do that, I could like name this Lemming. I'm not going to build it, but I would like essentially have this game in my headset that like no matter where I am, I can go into VR and visit this world.
Cool. All right. So then you would just build, and then you could either, I don't know, download it to your device, or you could upload it to the store.
Yep. I mean, definitely like one thing that I haven't yet to try, but since I'm kind of early into this VR stuff,
Yeah.
I definitely one day want to like submit something to the App Lab, or even get more familiar with like the Vision Pro SDK and like
Cool.
just post something because right now we're I've only really shipped anything like very like very hacky. It's not really like 100% my thing. Like I didn't 3D model everything,
Got it.
um, but yeah, I think definitely it's totally like easy to just ship it. It's just a SDK file. You can put it anywhere.
So, like in the Lemmings game, the Lemmings move.
The
They walk.
Lemmings move. So, for time's sake, and also to
Yeah.
admit I'm not the best C# programmer, uh, I'm going to utilize GPT to generate a NPC like interaction script that
Okay.
will essentially, and it's really simple too. It's essentially like dragging a script onto the character
Interesting.
and tagging it with where you want it to like go. So we'll let the lemming, I guess, kind of like wander, but also maybe it'll follow like the player when it's bored. So it has
Okay.
like a little character, like sort of a little more character.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I mean, it doesn't have to be GPT, but
The way that it
logging.
works in the game is
How does
straight.
it work in the game?
It will walk straight, and then if it hits something, like an obstacle, then it just sort of turns around.
Okay,
Um,
so
so you,
that's perfect. One moment, let me log in
I actually
because
think we might be onto something here.
I mean, yeah, who knows? Lemming in VR, bring it back. And is this you've never like sort of had? Have you built anything in Unity?
I have never built anything in Unity.
Wow. So okay, well, that's perfect because like the thing is, if I can't like sort of, I'm not gonna say I'm the best teacher whatsoever, but I hope you can learn something new. That's really
Sure.
cool that you like don't have a lot of experience because I also am pretty new to this, so it's like basically almost the same. I've just like learned a lot in the last like few months, but it just goes to show that it's possible. So okay,
I wouldn't have guessed that. You seem very comfortable.
so okay, we have our world. I'm gonna open GPT and just kind of like sort of form a story. So it's like I have a character in my unit game. Sort of treat it as though, like you're talking. Like I don't really like I don't try to ask like GPT to do a specific
Yeah.
thing. It's more like I have a problem.
Can you zoom in a little here?
Oh yeah, totally. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I have a character in my Unity game. So there's this thing called a box collider,
Yeah.
and you can either use it to collide with other objects, or you can turn it into like sort of a trigger zone. So similar to how like landmines work, it's like if you press it or if you like get close to it, it's like it blows up.
Got it.
Box colliders, when you enable is trigger, you're able to basically like define anything you want to happen inside of this box collider. So since we're talking about it, like you said, it's gonna like lead if it sort of hits a wall, it's not gonna stop. It's gonna just come back.
Yeah.
So I have like a character in my Unity game, and it walks around and has a mind of its own. Um, it will sometimes follow an object tagged with player, which is what will tag
Mhm.
the actual player of the game with that, so it knows where it is, and it is going to be inside a box collider. This is going back into what we were talking about. That is triggered, and once it goes to hit the edge of the box collider, it will turn around, and find a new direction to walk. And I guess another thing I'll add is like, and it rotates. You're sort of just defining like this vision for what you want to do,
Right.
and it rotates to like make it kind of feel like I don't want it just to be like sitting still and like moving around, kind of like a I don't know how to explain it. I can't think of a good example, but we want to actually make it kind of like look like it's walking. And I would show you how to animate it if we had more time.
Yeah.
But we're just focusing on simple vision. It's like lemmings, something low quality lemmings in VR, and it rotates to turn directions. So it looks like it's always walking forward. So this is a good bit of copy, but this in theory would generate me a script to do this, and I don't know exactly what GPT's gonna cook up with this, but usually it kind of knows, like for simple stuff like this, it's been really good. But lately I have been sort of going, I guess, away from using GPT all the time, because yes, you can build really fast, and I won't lie, for our first game we used GPT heavily, but like with our next game we really want to try and like dive more into the simple like basics and stuff. But this is C#, public class. It's just defining a parameter. It's like mono behavior. Honestly, I don't know exactly what mono behavior means, but what the most important thing I see here is like it's creating a public float. So it's like speed is 5, so it's always going to be the same speed where it's walking. But that's kind of boring. That's not like random. It doesn't really feel real. So it's like alter the script to randomize the speed from 5 to 10, and it's not always the same. So before I send that, I'm gonna like keep looking at this code. So if it's public, that means that it can interact with like other scripts. So for example, if I wanted to create another script that like can somehow interact or change the speed, I would want to make it public. But if it's private, then that means it's only for that object. So like rigid body enables weight, and it makes it actually feel like a real thing. If I like punched it, it would go flying. And the rigid body, there's no need to like interact with it publicly, so it's like all private. And the transform, these two things like just come with basically every single script. If it's like an object, the transform is literally just like what size is it. So like, you know how earlier we scaled it down? It's just like it defining. You don't have to write that, but for some reason GPT decided to. And then private void start is when you're actually like starting your script. This is all the stuff that like basically defining to interact with down here. And there's a good bit of stuff. It's kind of hard to like really look at all of it. So we're gonna hit send message. I'll get this new script, and then I'll throw it into Unity and kind of see what GPT cooked up and see if it even works. Because like sometimes, especially relying on like GPT or just AI, it doesn't always work 100% of the time. But for our game, it worked pretty well when we were generating scripts and stuff. Okay. So I think it has finished doing its thing. And now what we're going to do is hop back into Unity and go on to our character and add a component. What should we name the script? It can be anything. What's up?
Like walk or wander or something like that?
We'll call it Wandering in the Forest.
Okay.
Usually scripts aren't that long, but it's fine. So what that just did is create a very simple starting file for our script, first script with the Fleming. And then we're going to launch the best IDE, Visual Studio. I don't like this one.
Visual Studio without the code. Cool.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not a huge fan of the UI, but this is what the default Unity script looks like. And here's like, if we wanted to change the script name, we could.
Yeah.
And if we were to go down here and paste whatever Unity cooked up, there's going to get a ton of errors because it's like, wait, there's two different things going on. We're going to replace the name of the script with Forest Wander, and we can just delete like the default code that Unity gave us.
Got it.
And so far it doesn't seem like there's a ton of errors, except down here I jumped the gun and assumed that it was finished generating. So we're actually going to fix that. And if we go back into Visual Studio, this long script, I'm gonna actually like look at what's going on in here in just a moment. Where did it go? Okay. So if we replace all of this with the actual finished script and delete that, Forest Wander. Cool. Okay, there's no more errors. It stops yelling at us. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. Honestly, I could try my best to explain a lot of this, but Some of this stuff, like Vector 3, I've seen a ton, but I'm not super familiar with.
Got it.
Quaternion. Oh my gosh. Quatern. I don't
Quaternion?
even. I'm not even gonna try. Basically, that's probably some complex like algorithm or math that like dot slurp.
Right.
Honestly, don't know a lot about what's going on in this block. Right here, though, I know it's like doing some math with It's basically move forward. At least that's what GPT decided to call it, and
Got it.
I think it's defining like speed, and it probably didn't do that beforehand, because I think it's now randomizing the speed. If I like type in speed, let's see what's going on. That's the rotation speed. Yeah, random. Here we go. Random.range. So it's like you're either gonna go 5 or 10, something along those lines. We'll even add 7. Why not? Or even let's do like 0.1, just to see if it decides to do that at some point. No overload. Takes 4 arguments. Oh, okay. I overloaded it. Never mind. It didn't like that.
Yeah, I think it just needs the minimum and the maximum there.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Okay. We're going to save the script, and that is now what's going to actually make this character like come to life.